a calm architect's life during the building of the Taj Mahal. A 5-chapter bedtime story. Chapter 1. Dawn at the Yamuna River, a quiet breath before creation. You wake slowly as the first pale light touches the silk curtains of your modest dwelling near the banks of the sacred Yamuna River. The year is 1632, and you are Rashid, a quiet architect working on the greatest monument of love the world has ever known. The morning air is cool against your skin, carrying the gentle fragrance of jasmine and marigold from the palace gardens. You breathe deeply, feeling the peace of dawn settle in your chest like a warm cup of kawa tea. Your sleeping mat is woven from the finest cotton, grown in the fertile fields of Gujarat. Each thread tells a story of patient hands and gentle care. The same care you bring to every line you draw, every measurement you make, for the tomb that will honor Mumtaz Mahal, beloved wife of Emperor Shah Jahan. Outside your window, the Yamuna flows like liquid silver in the early light. Its banks are lined with ancient neem trees, their leaves rustling softly in the morning breeze. The river has witnessed centuries of empires, of love stories, of dreams made real in marble and stone. You rise slowly, your feet touching the cool stone floor. Each stone was quarried from the hills of Chunar and laid with the same precision you use in your architectural drawings. Nothing is hurried here. Everything flows like the river itself, calm and eternal. The brass ewer beside your bed catches the morning light, casting gentle golden reflections on the wall. You pour the cool water into a shallow basin. The sound is like tiny silver bells, soft and musical. This water comes from the same river that will one day reflect the completed dome of the Taj Mahal, connecting past and future in its gentle flow. As you wash your face, the water is refreshing and pure, filtered through sand and time. You take a moment to feel grateful for this simple pleasure. In the Mughal court, gratitude is considered the highest form of prayer, and every sunrise is seen as a gift from Allah. Your morning ablutions are performed with the same careful attention you bring to your architectural work. Each movement is deliberate, peaceful. You use a miswak twig from the Salvadora persica tree to clean your teeth, its natural fibers releasing a gentle mint flavor. This simple ritual connects you to the earth, to the trees that grow along the riverbank, to the cycle of seasons that governs all life. The clothes you choose are simple but fine, a white cotton kurta, soft as morning mist, woven by skilled artisans in the city of Dhaka. The fabric breathes with you, allowing the gentle morning air to cool your skin. Over this, you drape a light muslin dupatta, its edge embroidered with tiny silver threads that catch the light like dewdrops. Your turban is wrapped with the same meditative care that you apply to your architectural drawings, each fold precise, each layer balanced. The silk is dyed with indigo from the fields of Bihar, a deep blue that mirrors the color of the pre-dawn sky. This color will later inspire the precious lapis lazuli inlays that will adorn the Taj Mahal's walls. As you step outside, the morning garden welcomes you with its symphony of gentle sounds. The fountains in the charbagh, the four-part garden design beloved by Mughal emperors, create a soft musical backdrop. Water flows through channels carved from red sandstone, each drop following paths designed to please both eye and ear. The garden is laid out according to ancient Persian principles, representing paradise on earth. 4 channels of water divide the space into equal squares, symbolizing the 4 rivers of paradise mentioned in the Quran. The sound of flowing water is constant here, a reminder that in the desert traditions of your people, water is the most precious gift. Rose bushes line the pathways, their blooms heavy with morning dew. These are damask roses, brought from the gardens of Isfahan in Persia, their fragrance deep and intoxicating. But in the early morning, their scent is gentle, mixing with the cooler air to create a perfume that calms the mind and opens the heart. You walk slowly along the sandstone path, feeling the smooth texture beneath your leather sandals. These stones were cut and polished by master craftsmen from Rajasthan, each one fitted with mathematical precision. The same attention to detail that governs every aspect of the Taj Mahal's construction, from the greatest dome to the smallest flower motif. Peacocks call softly from the cypress trees, their voices like gentle flutes. These magnificent birds roam freely through the Mughal gardens, their brilliant plumage inspiring the precious stone inlays that will one day decorate the tomb's walls. Emerald greens, sapphire blues, ruby reds, all captured in marble that will outlast empires. The cypress trees themselves stand like green flames against the pale sky, planted in precise rows that create natural corridors of shade. These trees are sacred in Persian culture, symbols of immortality and eternal life, fitting companions for a monument designed to celebrate love that transcends death. You pause beside a small marble fountain, its basin carved with lotus petals, each petal perfect in its curve, perfect in its relationship to the whole. This is the essence of Mughal architecture, individual elements that serve the greater harmony, like notes in a raga that build slowly toward transcendence. The water in the fountain is crystal clear, fed by underground channels that connect to the Yamuna. You cup your hands and drink, the water cool and sweet. Hydration is essential in the Indian climate, but this simple act also connects you to the greater flow of life, to the river, to the monsoons that fill it, to the cycle of evaporation and return that governs all existence. A white egret lands at the fountain's edge, its movements graceful and unhurried. The bird drinks delicately, then stands perfectly still, demonstrating the patience that your work requires. Architecture is not about rushing toward completion, but about allowing each element to find its perfect place in divine time. The morning light grows stronger, painting the garden in soft gold and green. Shadows retreat slowly, revealing the intricate patterns carved into the stone pathways. Geometric designs based on mathematical principles. 8-pointed stars, hexagons, octagons, all flowing together in harmonious rhythm. These geometric patterns reflect the Mughal understanding of divine order. Each shape is both individual and part of a greater pattern. Like the elements of the Taj Mahal itself, the main dome, the 4 smaller domes, the minarets, the gateway, all balanced in perfect mathematical relationship. You make your way to a small pavilion beside the river. Its white marble columns still cool from the night. This pavilion was built by previous architects, masters who understood that workspace should inspire as well as shelter. The proportions follow the golden ratio, creating a sense of harmony that calms the mind and focuses the attention. From this pavilion, you can see across the Yamuna to the construction site of the Taj Mahal, still in its early stages, but already magnificent in its promise. Scaffolding surrounds the rising walls, and even at this distance, you can hear the gentle sounds of craftsmen beginning their daily work. The soft tap of mallets on chisels, the scrape of stones being fitted, the quiet voices of master builders directing their teams. 22,000 workers are involved in this great project. Architects from Lahore and Delhi, stone carvers from Baluchistan, calligraphers from Syria and Persia, inlay specialists from southern India, dome builders from Samarkand. Each brings their traditional skills, their cultural knowledge, their reverence for beauty and precision. But despite the massive scale of the project, there is no sense of haste or chaos. Work proceeds according to the natural rhythms, guided by the principles of sacred geometry, by the phases of the moon, by the seasonal availability of different types of stone. Everything in harmony with the greater patterns of creation. You settle onto a low marble bench, perfectly positioned to catch the morning breeze from the river. The marble is cool beneath you, polished to silk smoothness by craftsmen whose families have worked stone for generations. This bench was carved from a single block, quarried from the hills of Makrana, the same source that will provide the pristine white marble for the Taj Mahal's main structure. A brass tray appears beside you, brought silently by Hassan, your elderly servant whose family has served architects for 3 generations. The tray holds your morning refreshment, a small glass of fresh pomegranate juice, dark red as rubies, sweet and slightly tart, rich in the vital humors that Unani medicine teaches are essential for mental clarity. Beside the juice, a few dates from the oasis of Medina, their sweetness concentrated by desert sun. These dates connect you to the Arabian heritage of your faith, to the traditions that shape the architectural principles you follow. Each bite is a prayer, each flavor a reminder of divine bounty. A small bowl of almonds completes your simple breakfast. These nuts come from the mountains of Kashmir, where snow-fed streams nourish the trees. The almonds are blanched and peeled, their white flesh providing the protein and healthy oils that will sustain your concentration through the morning's work. As you eat, you watch the light change on the river. The Yamuna flows brown with fertile silt, carrying the essence of distant mountains to the sea. This river is mentioned in ancient Sanskrit texts as Kalindi, daughter of the sun god. Her banks have witnessed the love stories of Krishna and Radha, of countless kings and queens, and now the greatest architectural expression of love in history. A kingfisher darts across the water, its brilliant blue and orange plumage flashing like a living jewel. These colors will later inspire the precious stone inlays: carnelian, lapis lazuli, chrysolite, turquoise, 35 different types of precious and semi-precious stones, each chosen for its specific color and symbolic meaning. The bird disappears among the reeds, leaving only the gentle sound of water against the banks. This sound is constant, unchanging, like the principles that guide your architectural work. Proportion, balance, harmony. These are not human inventions, but discoveries, natural laws made visible in stone and space. You finish your simple meal, feeling nourished and alert, ready to begin another day of careful creation. But first, you perform the morning prayers, facing west toward the holy city of Mecca. Your prayer mat is spread on the marble floor of the pavilion, its silk threads dyed with saffron and indigo, creating geometric patterns that mirror those you will draw today. The prayers flow from your lips like water from a fountain, each word a small offering, each phrase a step closer to divine understanding. In Islamic tradition, architecture is a form of worship, a way of creating spaces that reflect the perfect order of creation. The Taj Mahal is not just a tomb, but a prayer made manifest in marble, a love song carved in stone. As the prayers conclude, you remain kneeling for a moment, feeling the peace that comes from alignment with divine will. The marble beneath your knees is warmed now by the strengthening sun, connecting you physically to the earth, to the stone, to the materials that will express your vision. You roll up your prayer mat slowly, each movement mindful, meditative. The same care will govern every aspect of your work today. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. Architecture at this level requires the patience of mountains, the persistence of rivers, the precision of celestial mechanics. A gentle breeze carries the fragrance of jasmine from the palace gardens, mixed with the earthy scent of the river. This combination of fragrances will later inspire the perfumed oils that will be mixed with the plaster, ensuring that the completed Taj Mahal will carry the essence of its garden setting forever. You stand and stretch, feeling your body awaken fully. The silk of your kurta moves against your skin like a whisper. The morning air fills your lungs, clean and cool, carrying the promise of another day of meaningful work. Another day of contributing to something greater than yourself, greater than any individual lifetime. In the distance, the call to morning prayers echoes from the mosque within the palace complex. The sound carries across the water like a bridge, connecting all the faithful, all the workers, all the craftsmen who will contribute to this great work. The call itself is architectural, rising and falling in mathematical patterns, creating sacred space through sound, as surely as your drawings create sacred space through form. You begin walking toward your workshop, located in a series of small buildings near the construction site. The path winds through more gardens, past reflecting pools that mirror the sky, past carved stone benches where other architects and craftsmen sometimes gather to discuss technical challenges or artistic possibilities. The workshop buildings themselves are marvels of practical architecture. High ceilings to keep the interior cool, precisely positioned windows to provide maximum natural light, thick walls to muffle the sounds of construction, allowing for quiet concentration. These buildings were designed by your predecessor, an elderly master architect who understood that the environment shapes the quality of work produced within it. As you approach the workshop, you see other early risers, stone carvers examining blocks of marble, their experienced hands reading the grain, understanding which pieces will best serve which purposes. Inlay specialists sorting precious stones by color and quality, their fingers moving with the delicacy of musicians. Calligraphers preparing their brushes and pigments, ready to transform sacred texts into visual art. Each craftsman moves with the unhurried precision that marks master-level work. There is time pressure, certainly. The emperor expects progress. But there is also understanding that true quality cannot be rushed, that the Taj Mahal must be perfect, not just for Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal, but for all the generations who will visit this monument to eternal love. You enter your personal workspace, a room with northern exposure, providing steady, even light throughout the day. The walls are whitewashed lime plaster, smooth as silk, providing the perfect backdrop for your drawings and calculations. A large drafting table dominates the center of the room, its surface made from a single plank of seasoned teak, polished to perfection. On the table, your drawing instruments wait in perfect order. Brass compasses for creating perfect circles, dividers for measuring precise proportions, rulers marked with the traditional measurements, danus and vitasti, hastas and angulas. These measurements connect your work to the ancient architectural treatises, the Mayamada and Manasara, texts that codify the sacred proportions governing temple architecture. Your reed pens are arranged by size, each one cut and shaped by your own hand from bamboo that grows along the riverbank. The ink is prepared fresh each morning, carbon black mixed with gum arabic and water, creating lines that will remain clear and dark for centuries. Some of these drawings will become the templates for stone carvers, guides that must be absolutely precise. A small brazier provides warmth when needed, burning sandalwood and other aromatic woods. The gentle smoke carries prayers upward, purifying the air and creating an atmosphere conducive to meditation and careful work. This practice comes from ancient traditions, the belief that beautiful fragrances inspire beautiful creations. Scrolls of paper line the walls, each one containing detailed drawings, calculations, notes, explorations of different design possibilities. Paper itself is precious, imported from mills in Kashmir and Central Asia. Each sheet represents significant cost, encouraging economy of line, precision of thought, clarity of expression. You settle at your drafting table, feeling the familiar comfort of your workspace. The teak surface is worn smooth by years of use, but cared for, treated regularly with oils that preserve the wood and enhance its natural beauty. Like the Taj Mahal itself, this table is built to last centuries, to serve generations of architects and craftsmen. The morning light streams through the windows, illuminating the drawings that cover your table, plans for the garden layout, elevations of the main structure, detailed studies of decorative motifs. Each drawing represents hours of careful thought, mathematical calculation, artistic refinement. The accumulated wisdom of your architectural training combined with your personal vision of perfect beauty. You take up your compass, feeling its weight, its perfect balance. The brass is warm in your hand, responsive to touch. This instrument will help you create the geometric foundations that govern every aspect of the Taj Mahal's design. The perfect circle that defines the main dome, the proportional relationships between different elements, the mathematical harmonies that make great architecture possible. A circle forms slowly under your careful guidance. Precise, perfect, satisfying in its completeness. This circle represents the dome that will crown the Taj Mahal, the element that will make it visible from great distances, the symbol of heaven that completes the earthly garden below. Every line you draw is both practical instruction and spiritual expression. Around you, the workshop gradually fills with the quiet sounds of concentrated work. The scratch of reed pens on paper, the soft rustle of scrolls being unrolled, the gentle tap of instruments being placed on tables. These sounds create a symphony of creation, each craftsman contributing their voice to the greater composition. Hassan appears with a cup of tea, cardamom-scented, sweet with honey from the palace apiaries. The tea is served in a small porcelain cup, decorated with blue and white patterns inspired by Chinese ceramics, brought along the Silk Road. These cultural exchanges influence everything in Mughal art, creating a style that combines the best from many traditions. You sip the tea slowly, savoring its warmth, its complex flavors. Cardamom from the mountains of Kerala, honey that carries the essence of garden flowers, water from the sacred Yamuna, each element contributing to the whole, like the architectural elements you are designing. Individual, but unified, distinct but harmonious. The tea provides gentle stimulation, sharpening your focus without creating anxiety. In Persian medical tradition, balance is essential for creative work. The hot tea, balanced by cool morning air. The sweet honey, balanced by aromatic spices. The stimulation, balanced by deep breathing and meditation. All things in their proper proportion. As the morning advances, the construction site across the river becomes more active. You can see the movement of workers, small as ants at this distance. But you know each one is a master craftsman, skilled in techniques passed down through generations. Their combined efforts will transform your drawings into reality, your vision into stone and marble. The sound of their work carries across the water, muffled by distance into a rhythmic harmony, like tabla and sitar, like the monsoon rain on marble, like the heartbeat of creation itself. This rhythm will continue for years, steady, persistent, gradually building toward completion. You return to your drawing, adding details to a decorative panel, flowers and vines, geometric patterns, calligraphic verses from the Quran. Each element must be perfect in itself and perfect in relationship to all other elements. This is the essence of Mughal architecture, the marriage of mathematical precision and artistic beauty. The verses you are incorporating speak of paradise, of gardens beneath which rivers flow, of the reunion of souls after death. These words will be carved in marble, inlaid with precious stones, visible to visitors for as long as the monument stands. Your calligraphy must be worthy of such permanence, such sacred purpose. Each letter flows from your pen with meditative precision. The Arabic script itself is a form of architecture. Letters that build into words, words that build into phrases, phrases that create meaning as surely as stones create walls. Your training in calligraphy serves your architectural work, both arts requiring the same fundamental principles: proportion, balance, rhythm, flow. A peacock calls from the garden, its voice clear and musical. The bird itself is a symbol in Mughal art, representing beauty, immortality, the all-seeing eye of divine wisdom. These symbolic meanings will be incorporated into the decorative program of the Taj Mahal, creating layers of significance for those who can read the architectural language. The morning light continues to strengthen, warming the workshop, illuminating your work with increasing clarity. You can see every line, every calculation, every notation. The transparency of your intent matched by the transparency of the light, both revealing truth, both serving beauty, both participating in the creation of something eternal. You pause in your work, stretching your shoulders, rolling your head gently to release any tension. The movements are yoga-inspired, ancient practices for maintaining physical harmony during long periods of concentration. The body and mind must work together, each supporting the other, creating the conditions for inspired work. Through the window, you can see the Yamuna flowing steadily toward its junction with the Ganges, two sacred rivers meeting, creating something greater than either alone. This image inspires your architectural thinking. How can different elements, different traditions, different materials combine to create transcendent beauty? This is the challenge that drives your work. A butterfly alights on your windowsill, its wings patterned in gold and black, the same colors that will appear in the precious stone inlays, carnelian and onyx, creating floral patterns that seem to dance in the marble. Nature provides the templates. Your skill translates them into permanent art. Your vision makes them serve divine purposes. The butterfly remains motionless for a moment, wings spread to catch the warming sun. Then it flutters away, leaving only the memory of perfect symmetry, perfect balance. These qualities must inform every aspect of your architectural design, from the grandest proportions to the smallest decorative details. You return to your drawing with renewed focus, adding shading to suggest the three-dimensional form. The flat lines on paper must communicate solid reality to the stone carvers, must convey your vision with such clarity that skilled craftsmen can realize it perfectly. This requires not just artistic skill, but deep understanding of materials, of construction techniques, of the way light and shadow play across different surfaces. The shading develops slowly, each stroke carefully considered, building depth and volume through the accumulation of subtle marks, like the Taj Mahal itself, rising gradually through the patient accumulation of perfectly placed stones, each element contributing to the growing whole. A servant brings fresh water in a brass ewer, cool from the underground storage rooms. You wash your hands, cleansing away the ink stains, preparing for whatever task comes next. Water is sacred in desert cultures, a symbol of purity, of life, of divine blessing. The same water that fills the fountains and channels of the garden, that reflects the sky in marble basins, that connects all living things. You dry your hands on a cotton towel, soft as silk, woven with geometric borders. Everything in this environment serves both practical and aesthetic functions. Even the simplest object reflects the Mughal commitment to beauty, to excellence, to the belief that daily life should be elevated through art. The morning's work has progressed well. Several detailed drawings completed, calculations verified, notes recorded for future reference. Each drawing brings you closer to understanding the perfect relationships, the ideal proportions, the mathematical harmonies that will make the Taj Mahal not just beautiful, but transcendently beautiful. You look up from your table, resting your eyes by focusing on distant objects, the construction site across the river, the trees along the banks, the sky that stretches endlessly above. This practice prevents eye strain, maintains the long-term health needed for years of detailed work. Self-care as spiritual discipline, body maintenance as service to art. A crow lands in the courtyard, walking with dignified steps across the stone pavement. These birds are considered intelligent, observant, witnesses to human endeavor. This crow may see the completion of the Taj Mahal, may watch it age and weather, may be part of its story for decades to come. Architecture creates not just spaces, but relationships, connections across time. The sun reaches its full morning strength, flooding the workshop with brilliant light. Too bright now for detailed drawing work. Time to visit the construction site, to observe how previous drawings are being translated into stone, to solve problems that arise when theory meets practice, to adjust and refine based on real conditions. You gather your current drawings, rolling them carefully in silk cloth, protecting them from dust and damage. These documents are precious, irreplaceable. They represent not just your individual work, but the accumulated wisdom of your architectural tradition, the distillation of centuries of learning about proportion, structure, beauty, meaning. Before leaving, you perform a brief ritual of gratitude, acknowledging the gift of meaningful work, the privilege of contributing to something greater than yourself, the blessing of skills that serve divine purposes. In Sufi tradition, all work becomes worship when performed with proper intention, with complete attention, with love for the divine qualities of truth and beauty. You step out of the workshop into the full brightness of morning, the sun warm on your face, the air scented with jasmine and roses, the sounds of purposeful activity all around. This is your world, your life, your calling, to create beauty that will outlast empires, to build monuments to love that will inspire souls for centuries, to serve the divine through the patient practice of your art. The path to the construction site winds through more gardens, past workers carrying materials, past supervisors consulting drawings similar to your own. The entire complex buzzes with quiet activity, like a beehive, each individual contributing to the greater purpose, each task essential to the whole. As you walk, your footsteps join the rhythm of construction, the soft percussion of hammers on chisels, the scrape of stones being positioned, the creak of wooden pulleys lifting marble blocks. These sounds form the soundtrack of creation, the daily symphony that will continue until the last detail is complete, until the Taj Mahal stands in perfect glory beside the flowing Yamuna. The morning air carries promise, possibility, the scent of fresh beginnings. Your architectural drawings will become reality. Your vision will transform the horizon. Your patient work will serve love itself. This knowledge fills you with quiet satisfaction, with purpose, with the deep peace that comes from alignment with divine will. You continue toward the construction site, toward another day of meaningful labor, toward the gradual realization of architectural dreams. The morning has prepared you, nourished you, inspired you. Now the real work begins, the translation of vision into stone, of drawings into reality, of dreams into monuments that will endure until the end of time. Your eyelids grow heavy as you imagine this peaceful morning routine, the gentle sounds of the Yamuna flowing, the soft scratch of reed pens on paper, the warm scent of sandalwood and jasmine. You drift, following the architect through his calm preparations, into the meditative rhythm of meaningful work. Your breathing slows, matching the pace of ancient craftsmanship, and you sink deeper into peaceful sleep. Chapter 2. Sketches on Sandstone, the gentle dance of ideas. You find yourself in the cool depths of the stone carving workshop, surrounded by blocks of red sandstone and pristine white marble. The morning light filters through high windows, casting geometric patterns on the workshop floor. Patterns that echo the designs taking shape under patient hands. The air is filled with fine stone dust, suspended like golden mist in the sunbeams. Each particle catches the light, creating a dreamy atmosphere that softens all the sharp edges, all the harsh sounds. This dust is the breath of creation itself, the whisper of stone becoming art, of rough blocks transforming into eternal beauty. You move slowly through the workshop, observing the master stone carvers at their work. Each craftsman sits cross-legged beside his block of stone, traditional tools arranged within easy reach. A wooden mallet, worn smooth by thousands of hours of use. A collection of chisels, each one forged for specific purposes. Broad ones for rough shaping, fine ones for delicate details. The rhythm of their work is like a meditation. Tap, 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 pause. Tap, 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 pause. Never hurried, never forced. Each strike removes only what needs to be revealed. Stone carving requires patience, the willingness to work with natural rhythms rather than against them. Ustad Ahmed, the master carver, works on a section of decorative frieze. His hands are weathered by decades of work, but still steady, still precise. He shapes a marble lotus, each petal emerging from the stone as if it had always been there, waiting for his skill to set it free. You watch as he selects a fine chisel, testing its edge against his thumb. The tool must be perfectly sharp, but not too sharp. Sharp enough to cut cleanly, but not so sharp that it chips the marble. This balance comes from experience, from understanding the conversation between tool and material, between intention and stone. His first strokes define the basic shape, establishing the boundaries within which beauty will emerge. These initial cuts require confidence, decisiveness. There is no going back once stone is removed, no erasing mistakes. Each mark must serve the final vision. Each removal must be exactly right. The lotus begins to take shape, its curved petals following natural proportions. Mathematical relationships discovered in living flowers and translated into stone. The carver doesn't work from botanical specimens, but from his deep understanding of natural forms, accumulated through years of careful observation, stored in his hands as much as his mind. Beside him, a younger apprentice practices basic techniques, learning to hold the chisel at exactly the right angle, to strike with exactly the right force, to read the grain of the stone, to understand which direction it wants to break. This knowledge cannot be taught through words alone. It must be absorbed through repetition, through the slow development of sensitivity. The apprentice's movements are more tentative, more conscious. He thinks about each strike before making it, while the master works from intuition, from the deep knowing that comes after technique becomes second nature. Both approaches are necessary. Both serve the learning process. Both contribute to the tradition's continuity. You settle on a low stone seat, carved from the same red sandstone that forms much of the Taj Mahal's base. The stone is cool and smooth beneath you, shaped by craftsmen who understood that even utilitarian objects should be beautiful, should reflect the same principles that govern the greatest monuments. From this vantage point, you can observe the entire workshop, 20 master carvers and their apprentices, each working on different elements of the great tomb's decorative program. Floral panels that will surround the main arch, geometric borders that will frame the calligraphic verses, portrait medallions that will honor the deceased queen. Each piece must be perfect in itself, but also perfect in relationship to all the others. The workshop functions like an orchestra, individual instruments playing their parts, but all contributing to a greater harmony, all serving the architectural symphony that will be the completed Taj Mahal. The workshop supervisor, Mirza Hassan, moves quietly between the workers, offering guidance, solving technical problems, ensuring that each element meets the exacting standards required. His trained eye can spot imperfections that others might miss, can suggest adjustments that improve both beauty and structural integrity. He pauses beside a carver, working on a complex vine pattern. The marble seems to flow like living vegetation, leaves and flowers intertwining in patterns that suggest growth, movement, life eternal. This illusion of life in stone is one of the highest achievements of Mughal decorative art, requiring both technical mastery and deep artistic understanding. The vine pattern follows mathematical principles, but these principles are hidden, absorbed into natural-seeming curves and spirals. The geometry serves beauty rather than announcing itself, creates harmony without rigid regularity. This subtle sophistication marks the difference between mere decoration and transcendent art. A gentle breeze flows through the workshop, carrying away the stone dust, bringing the scent of roses from the gardens outside. The contrast between the hard work of stone carving and the soft pleasure of garden fragrances creates a perfect balance. Harshness tempered by beauty, effort softened by sensory delight. The red sandstone blocks, waiting to be carved, come from the quarries of Fatehpur Sikri, the same stone used in Akbar's great city. Each block was selected for its uniform color, its fine grain, its ability to hold crisp details without cracking or chipping. Quality stone is the foundation of quality carving. The material must be worthy of the artist's skill. The white marble comes from Makrana in Rajasthan, transported hundreds of miles by ox cart, each block precious beyond measure. This marble is famous for its purity, its ability to transmit light, its resemblance to pearl or moonlight. When the Taj Mahal is complete, this marble will seem to glow from within, especially in the soft light of dawn and dusk. You rise from your seat, moving closer to observe the detailed work. A master carver shapes the petals of a marble poppy, each curve following the natural form but idealized, perfected. The real flower lives and dies, but this stone flower will bloom forever, immune to seasons, to time, to the changes that affect all mortal beauty. His chisel moves with surgical precision, removing thin shavings that curl and fall to the floor. The sound is soft, almost musical, like gentle rain on leaves. The carver's breathing matches the rhythm of his work, slow, steady, meditative. Work and worker unified in the act of creation. The poppy's petals are translucent at the edges, so thin that light passes through them. This effect requires extraordinary skill, the ability to gauge thickness by feel rather than sight, to carve to the very edge of the stone's breaking point without crossing it. One mistake would ruin weeks of careful work. Behind the carver, sketches are pinned to a wooden board, studies of different flowers, geometric patterns, calligraphic designs. These drawings serve as references, reminders of proportions and relationships. But the actual carving comes from deep knowledge, from understanding that transcends any single reference. The sketches themselves are works of art, drawn with reed pens on handmade paper, each line confident and sure. These preliminary studies allow for experimentation, for trying different approaches before committing to stone. They represent the thinking process, the visual conversation between designer and material. One sketch shows a complete decorative panel with precise measurements, detailed notes about depth and undercuts, instructions for the inlay work that will follow. This drawing will guide multiple craftsmen, carvers who shape the basic forms, specialists who create the precise recesses for precious stone inlays, artists who select and fit the colored stones. The measuring system uses traditional units, angulas and vitastes, based on human proportions. The width of a finger, the span of a hand. This connects the architecture to human scale, ensures that the completed building will feel comfortable, welcoming, proportioned for human enjoyment, rather than mere visual impact. A young apprentice brings tea, served in small clay cups that will be discarded after use. The tea is spiced with cardamom and cloves, sweetened with jaggery, warming and stimulating without being harsh. This brief refreshment allows the carvers to rest their hands, to stretch their shoulders, to step back and assess their progress with fresh eyes. You accept a cup, feeling the clay's rough texture, tasting the complex flavors. The clay comes from the banks of the Yamuna, formed by the same river that will reflect the completed tomb. Everything connected, everything part of the greater whole. Even this simple teacup participating in the sacred geography of creation. The tea's warmth spreads through your body, relaxing muscles, clearing your mind. You observe the workshop with renewed attention, noticing details that escaped you before. The careful arrangement of tools, the precise positioning of oil lamps for detailed work, the small shrines where craftsmen offer brief prayers before beginning especially challenging tasks. These shrines contain verses from the Quran, written in elegant Nastaliq script, reminding the workers that their skill is a gift from Allah, their work a form of worship, their contribution to the Taj Mahal a participation in divine creation itself. The workshop falls quiet as the morning prayers are called from the nearby mosque. Tools are set aside, prayer mats unrolled. The craftsmen face toward Mecca, their movements synchronized by centuries of shared practice. This pause sanctifies the work, connects human effort to divine purpose, transforms labor into devotion. The prayers flow like water, like the carved vines emerging from stone, like the mathematical patterns that govern both Islamic art and the structure of creation itself. Each phrase builds on the previous, creating meaning through accumulation, through the patient layering of sacred words. The same principle that guides architectural construction. As the prayers conclude, work resumes gradually, tools picked up with renewed reverence, stones approached with fresh appreciation. The brief interruption has not broken the rhythm, but deepened it, connected it to larger rhythms, to the cycles that govern all existence. You move to another section of the workshop, where master calligraphers work on the verses that will surround the main entrance. These craftsmen combine the skills of artists and scholars, masters of Arabic language and Islamic theology, as well as visual design. Their work requires perfect understanding of both meaning and beauty. The lead calligrapher, Amanat Khan from Shiraz, shapes letters with extraordinary precision, each stroke calculated, each curve expressing both the word's meaning and its visual relationship to surrounding words. The Arabic script flows like water, like silk, like the very breath of divine revelation made visible. His reed pen moves across the cartridge paper in smooth, confident strokes. The ink flows evenly, creating lines of consistent width and darkness. This consistency requires perfect control of pressure, of angle, of speed. Skills developed through decades of practice, through writing millions of letters, millions of words, millions of prayers. The verse he copies speaks of paradise, of gardens watered by flowing streams, of the eternal reunion that awaits faithful souls. These words will be carved in marble, inlaid with precious stones, visible to pilgrims for centuries. His calligraphy must be worthy of such permanence, such sacred purpose. Each letter connects to its neighbors through subtle curves, creating visual rhythm, textual music. The eye flows along the lines like water following a riverbed, guided by the calligrapher's understanding of how vision works, how attention moves, how meaning emerges from the marriage of form and content. The paper beneath his pen is handmade, created from cotton fibers beaten to perfect smoothness, sized with rice starch to prevent the ink from bleeding. Every element of the writing process has been perfected, refined, elevated to support the creation of transcendent beauty. Behind him, junior calligraphers practice letter forms, repeating basic shapes until they become automatic, unconscious, natural as breathing. The formation of each letter must be perfect, consistent, worthy of inclusion in the sacred texts. There is no room for approximation, for good enough. only for excellence approaching perfection. Their practice sheets accumulate like fallen leaves, covered with thousands of repetitions, thousands of attempts to achieve ideal form. The waste seems enormous, but waste is necessary. Proficiency requires the willingness to discard imperfection, to start over, to continue until the hand expresses the mind's clearest vision. You observe a young apprentice struggling with a particularly challenging letter form, the complex curves of the letter wa. His master approaches, not with criticism, but with gentle guidance, demonstrating the proper pen angle, the correct pressure, the natural flow that makes difficult movements seem effortless. Let the pen teach your hand, the master says softly. Don't force the movement. Discover it. The letter wants to be beautiful. Your job is simply to allow that beauty to emerge. This philosophy applies to all the arts represented in this workshop. Stone carving, inlay work, architectural design, all creation through discovery rather than imposition. The apprentice tries again, his movement more relaxed, more trusting. The letter flows more naturally, still imperfect, but approaching the ideal. The master nods approval, recognizing progress, understanding that mastery comes through patience, through the gradual refinement of natural ability, guided by traditional wisdom. A gentle commotion draws your attention to another area where specialists prepare precious stones for inlay work. These craftsmen work with materials worth more than most people see in a lifetime. Lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, carnelian from Gujarat, onyx from Rajasthan, turquoise from Persia. Each stone selected for specific qualities, specific colors, specific symbolic associations. The master inlay specialist, Hassan Khan, examines a piece of lapis lazuli through a crystal lens, searching for flaws, internal stresses, variations in color that might affect the final appearance. His trained eye sees what others cannot, understands how each stone will behave when cut, shaped, fitted into marble recesses. The lapis lazuli glows deep blue, flecked with gold, like a piece of night sky studded with stars. This stone will represent heaven in the decorative program, the eternal paradise that awaits the faithful. Its color never fades, never changes, permanent as the love it symbolizes. Beside him, an apprentice practices the delicate work of shaping stones, using tiny copper wheels, diamond powder, infinite patience. Each stone must fit its recess exactly, with no gaps, no overlaps, no variation in height. The precision required approaches the limits of human capability. But that precision creates magic, stones that seem to float in marble, to be part of the stone itself rather than additions to it. The tools for this work are incredibly refined, developed over centuries of experimentation. Bow drills with bits smaller than needles, files made from the hardest steel, measuring devices accurate to fractions of hair widths. Each tool represents generations of accumulated knowledge, traditional wisdom embedded in bronze and steel. You watch as a craftsman cuts a thin slice from a larger piece of carnelian. The saw blade, barely thicker than paper, moves through the stone like a whisper, creating a translucent wafer that glows orange-red when held to the light. This piece will become part of a flower petal, its color contributing to an illusion of natural bloom captured in stone. The cutting process requires extraordinary care. One moment's inattention, one slight increase in pressure, and weeks of work could be ruined. The craftsman's breathing remains steady, his attention complete, his movements flowing with mechanical precision born of deep practice. This is meditation made visible, concentration transformed into art. A wooden tray beside him holds completed inlay pieces, tiny gems cut to exact specifications, ready to be fitted into their marble settings. Red jasper, green malachite, yellow amber, black slate. Together, they will create floral patterns of impossible complexity. Mathematical gardens that bloom forever in stone. The color combinations follow traditional principles. Red and green for life and growth. Blue and gold for heaven and divine light. Black and white for the unity of opposites. These symbolic meanings layer beneath the visual beauty, creating depth, significance, connections to larger patterns of meaning. An elderly master examines the day's production, checking each piece against the original drawings, testing the fit in sample marble blocks. His approval is necessary before any piece moves to the final installation. His standards are legendary. His eye, capable of detecting imperfections invisible to others. He holds a tiny piece of cornelian to the light, studying its translucency, its internal structure, the way light moves through it. This single piece, no larger than a fingernail, will contribute to the optical effects that make the completed Taj Mahal seem to glow from within, to change color with the changing light, to seem alive despite being made entirely of stone. The workshop's rhythm continues, unhurried but purposeful. Each craftsman absorbed in his specific task, but aware of the greater purpose. The monument rising across the river, the queen whose memory they serve, the emperor whose love they celebrate, the divine beauty they struggle to capture in earthly materials. A peacock calls from the garden outside, its voice carrying across the courtyard, mixing with the gentle sounds of concentrated work. The bird itself will inspire decorative motifs, its brilliant plumage translated into precious stone inlays, its symbolic associations with immortality and divine wisdom incorporated into the tomb's meaning. The morning light shifts, growing stronger, changing the appearance of the stones, revealing new depths, new possibilities. The craftsmen adjust their positions, their lamps, their techniques to work with this changing illumination, understanding that light is not just illumination, but a medium, a participant in the creation of beauty. You notice how the different materials respond to light. Marble seems to absorb and re-emit it, glowing softly from within. Red sandstone reflects it warmly, creating rich, earthy tones. Precious stones focus and concentrate it, creating points of brilliant color. These different responses will be orchestrated in the completed building, creating visual music, architectural symphony played in light and stone. A master craftsman begins working on a complex geometric pattern, an 8-pointed star surrounded by hexagons and octagons. The mathematics underlying this design are sophisticated, requiring precise angles, exact proportions, perfect execution. Yet the final effect appears effortless, natural, as inevitable as the patterns found in flowers or crystals. His first cuts establish the basic geometry, dividing the space into equal sections, creating the underlying grid that will guide all subsequent work. This grid is invisible in the finished piece, but essential to its harmony, its sense of rightness. Like the mathematical relationships in music that create consonance and beauty. Each element of the pattern serves multiple functions: structural, aesthetic, symbolic. The 8-pointed star represents the breath of divine mercy, the 8 directions of space, the regeneration that comes after completion. These meanings are not explained to visitors, but they inform the craftsman's work, give it depth and significance. The surrounding polygons create secondary rhythms, visual echoes that support and enhance the central star. The spaces between shapes are as important as the shapes themselves, creating breathing room, preventing visual crowding, allowing each element to read clearly while contributing to the whole. As the pattern develops, its mathematical precision becomes more apparent, but also its organic quality. Despite following rigid geometric principles, it feels alive, dynamic, capable of infinite extension. This paradox lies at the heart of Islamic decorative art. Order that feels free, precision that feels natural. The craftsman pauses periodically, stepping back to assess his progress, checking proportions, verifying relationships. These brief pauses prevent errors, maintain standards, keep the work aligned with its ideal form. Rushing would destroy the precision that makes such work transcendent. You move to a quieter corner of the workshop, where an elderly craftsman works alone on the most delicate tasks, carving minute details in precious white marble. His tools are smaller, his movements more confined, his attention more focused. This is work that few can do, requiring not just skill, but the wisdom that comes with age and experience. He shapes the stamen of a marble lily, each thread thin as hair, translucent as silk. The flower will be part of a larger composition, but this tiny detail must be perfect, must contribute to the illusion of natural bloom, must justify the viewer's wonder at craftsmanship approaching the divine. His breathing is barely perceptible, his hand steady as stone. Years of practice have refined his technique to near perfection, but he continues to improve, continues to discover new possibilities, continues to push the boundaries of what human skill can achieve. This dedication transforms craft into art, technique into transcendence. The workshop gradually fills with the sense of the midday meal. Rice and lentils, spiced vegetables, flatbread baked fresh in clay ovens. The craftsmen will eat together, sharing simple food, discussing technical challenges, maintaining the bonds of community that make such collaborative work possible. But for now, they continue working, each absorbed in his specific task, each contributing to the greater vision. The sounds of their labor create a gentle symphony. Chisel on stone, pen on paper, file on precious metal. The rhythm of creation itself, patient, persistent, beautiful in its purposefulness. You feel your own breathing slow, matching the workshop's meditative pace. The gentle sounds, the soft light, the focused concentration all around you. These elements combine to create perfect peace. The satisfaction of meaningful work, the joy of participating in creation itself. Your eyelids grow heavy as you observe this timeless scene. Craftsmen who worked with the same tools, the same techniques, the same devotion as their ancestors, creating beauty that will outlast empires, monuments that will inspire souls for centuries. Your breathing deepens, following the rhythm of hammer and chisel, and you drift into the peaceful satisfaction of work perfectly done, into dreams where stone becomes flower, where human skill serves divine beauty, where patience and precision transform the temporal into the eternal. Chapter 3: The Marble Whisper, Stones that Carry Eternity. You stand in the marble yard as dawn breaks over the sacred Yamuna, surrounded by blocks of pristine white stone that seem to glow in the early light. Each block represents a journey of hundreds of miles, from the quarries of Makrana in Rajasthan to this construction site, transported by ox-drawn carts over dusty roads, across rivers, through kingdoms, arriving here like pilgrims drawn to a sacred destination. The marble speaks in whispers. If you know how to listen, each block carries the memory of its mountain home, the slow pressure that transformed limestone into this crystalline perfection, the patient work of geological time that created beauty worthy of the world's greatest monument to love. You run your hand across a freshly cut surface, feeling the silk-smooth texture, the coolness that persists even in the warming air. This marble will form the outer walls of the tomb, will catch and reflect the changing light throughout each day, will seem to breathe with life despite being formed from ancient stone. Ustad Isa, the master mason, moves among the blocks with the careful attention of a physician, examining each one for flaws, for variations in color or texture, for the subtle differences that determine how each piece will best serve the whole. His trained eye sees what others cannot: the internal structure, the way light will move through the stone, the eternal beauty waiting to be revealed. This marble, he says softly, touching a particularly fine block, was formed when the earth was young, when the great mountains were rising from the sea. It has waited millions of years for this moment to become part of something eternal, something that celebrates the greatest love story ever told. His words flow like water, like the gentle morning breeze, carrying wisdom accumulated over decades of working with stone, understanding gained through touching thousands of blocks, through learning to read the secret language that marble speaks to those who listen with their hearts as well as their hands. A team of workers begins the careful process of moving a massive block, using wooden rollers, hemp ropes, bronze pulleys, techniques perfected over centuries of monumental construction. The block weighs several tons, but it moves as smoothly as silk, guided by experienced hands, by knowledge passed down through generations of master. The movement is like a dance, each worker knowing exactly when to pull, when to pause, when to adjust the rollers. Their coordination comes from practice, from trust, from shared commitment to the sacred work. No commands are shouted, no harsh words spoken. Everything flows with the natural rhythm of skilled cooperation. You watch as they position the block beside others of similar size, creating a temporary arrangement that allows the masons to plan the next stage of construction. These blocks will form part of the great arch that crowns the tomb's entrance, an arch that must be perfect in its proportions, flawless in its execution, eternal in its beauty. The arch itself represents divine perfection, the curve that has no beginning and no end, the mathematical principle that appears in rainbow and sunrise, in the dome of heaven and the embrace of lovers. Its construction requires extraordinary precision, each stone cut to exact specifications, each joint fitted without the slightest gap. Ustad Ahmed, the master architect, approaches with rolled drawings, his morning calculations complete, ready to translate measurements into reality, to transform the abstract perfection of geometry into solid stone. His drawings show not just the arch's final form, but every stage of its construction, every temporary support, every critical measurement. He spreads the drawings on a marble table, its surface polished mirror smooth. The morning light illuminates every line, every notation, every dimension. These drawings represent months of careful calculation, verification against ancient treatises, consultation with master builders, refinement until every detail serves both beauty and structural integrity. The arch's proportions follow the golden ratio, the mathematical relationship that appears throughout nature in the spiral of shells, the arrangement of flower petals, the proportions of the human body. This ratio creates harmony, pleases the eye without announcing itself, connects human architecture to divine creation. Master masons gather around the drawings, studying the details, asking questions, ensuring complete understanding before any stone is cut. There is no room for error at this level, no possibility of correction once the marble is shaped. Each cut must be perfect, each measurement exact, each angle true to the mathematical ideal. The discussion flows in technical terms. The haunch must curve thus. The keystone requires this particular taper. The abutment needs additional mass here. These men speak the ancient language of construction, words that connect them to the builders of great mosques, of magnificent palaces, of monuments that have stood for centuries. A young apprentice listens carefully, absorbing not just the technical information, but the deeper wisdom, the understanding that architecture is more than engineering, that great buildings must serve the soul as well as the body, must create spaces that elevate human consciousness, that bring people closer to divine beauty. The master masons disperse to begin their work, each responsible for specific blocks, specific cuts, specific aspects of the arch's construction. But their individual efforts must coordinate perfectly, must serve the greater harmony, must contribute to architectural music played in stone and space. You follow one of the masons to his workstation, a shaded area where he can work with precision despite the growing heat. His tools are arranged with ceremonial care, each one cleaned, sharpened, blessed with brief prayers. These implements will shape stone destined for immortality. Their touch will influence beauty that outlasts empires. He begins by marking the block, using a string line dusted with powdered charcoal, creating guidelines that will govern every subsequent cut. These first marks are critical. They establish the basic geometry, the fundamental relationships that will determine success or failure. The measurements come from the master architect's drawings, but they must be transferred with absolute precision. An error of a hair's width at this stage could propagate through the entire arch, could destroy the perfect fit that allows stones to support each other, could compromise both beauty and structural integrity. His measuring tools are works of art in themselves. Brass rulers inlaid with silver, wooden squares joined with perfect right angles. Bronze dividers that open and close with mechanical precision. Each tool represents centuries of refinement, traditional knowledge embedded in metal and wood. The first cut removes rough edges, establishes the basic shape. The chisel bites into marble with a sound like breaking ice. Clean and sharp, the stone chips fall away in perfect curls, revealing the crystalline structure beneath, the mathematical perfection that makes this material so precious. Each successive cut refines the form, brings it closer to the ideal. The mason works with meditative focus, completely absorbed in the dialogue between tool and stone. His breathing matches the rhythm of his work, slow, steady, peaceful. This concentration transforms labor into prayer, technique into transcendence. The marble dust rises in a fine cloud, glittering in the morning sunlight like powdered stars. This dust will settle on everything, will become part of the construction site's daily reality. But it also carries something sacred, the essence of stone, destined for immortality, particles of eternity made visible. A water carrier moves among the workers, offering refreshment from clay jars cooled in underground chambers. The water is flavored with rose petals and mint, providing not just hydration, but sensory pleasure, cooling the throat, refreshing the spirit, maintaining the worker's well-being through long hours of demanding labor. You accept a cup, tasting the subtle flavors, feeling the coolness spread through your body. This simple pleasure connects you to the greater enterprise, makes you part of the community creating transcendent beauty, transforms observation into participation. The rose petals float on the water's surface, pink against crystal clear, beautiful in their simplicity. These same roses inspire decorative motifs throughout the Taj Mahal, their forms translated into stone inlay, their essence captured in architectural poetry. Nature providing templates for art that improves upon nature. As the morning advances, the marble yard fills with purposeful activity. Blocks being positioned, measured, marked, cut, shaped. Each operation performed with the precision of ritual, the reverence of prayer, the patience of geological time. Humans working at the pace of mountains, creating beauty that shares stone's permanence. A master stone carver begins work on decorative elements, floral patterns that will frame the great arch. His approach is different from the structural masons, more intuitive, more artistic, but equally precise, equally devoted to perfection. The flowers he carves will bloom forever, immune to seasons, to time, to the changes that affect all living beauty. He works from memory as much as from drawings, his hands holding the knowledge of thousands of flowers, roses and lotuses, poppies and jasmine, irises and carnations, all transformed through his skill into ideal forms. perfected versions that capture essence rather than mere appearance. The chisel moves like a brush, creating flowing lines, organic curves, the illusion of growth and movement in solid stone. Each petal emerges naturally, inevitably, as if the flower had always existed within the marble, waiting for skilled hands to set it free. This approach to stone carving comes from ancient Indian traditions, the belief that sculpture is discovery rather than creation, that forms exist in potential within the raw material, that the artist's role is to reveal rather than impose, to uncover rather than construct. A group of apprentices watches the master work, studying his technique, his tool selection, his approach to different types of cuts. This knowledge cannot be learned from books, must be absorbed through observation, through practice, through the slow development of sensitivity to stone's secret properties. The master pauses periodically to explain his choices. Why this angle for that cut? Why this tool for that technique? Why this approach for that particular effect? His teaching flows naturally from his work, wisdom shared without interrupting the creative process, tradition transmitted through example and gentle guidance. The stone wants to be beautiful. He tells his students, "Our job is to listen, to understand what it's trying to tell us, to cooperate rather than dominate." This is the secret of all great carving, partnership between human intention and natural possibility. His words echo the fundamental philosophy of Islamic art, the belief that human creativity serves divine creation, that artists are intermediaries rather than originators, that beauty flows through human skill from its divine source. This understanding transforms craft into worship, work into prayer. The carved flowers begin to create a larger pattern, individual blooms connecting through vines and branches, geometric principles organizing organic forms, mathematical harmony supporting natural beauty. The tension between order and freedom, between structure and life, resolved through perfect craftsmanship. You notice how the pattern seems to breathe, to pulse with hidden life. The curves flow smoothly, but never monotonously, creating visual rhythm, leading the eye through a dance of forms that pleases without exhausting, entertains without overwhelming. This is the mark of master-level design, complexity that feels simple, sophistication that appears effortless. A messenger arrives with news from other parts of the construction site. The foundation work proceeds on schedule. The interior walls are rising steadily. The dome preparations continue according to plan. Each element of this massive project coordinated with the others, all serving the unified vision, all contributing to architectural harmony. The marble blocks around you represent just one aspect of this enormous undertaking. 22,000 workers, countless tons of materials, skills gathered from across the known world, all focused on creating a monument worthy of eternal love. The scale staggers the imagination, but the daily work proceeds stone by stone, cut by cut, with infinite patience and care. A quality inspector moves among the finished pieces, checking dimensions, testing joints, ensuring that each element meets the exacting standards required. His approval means the work can proceed, His rejection means starting over, no matter how much time has been invested. Excellence admits no compromise. He uses bronze calipers to measure critical dimensions, checking them against master templates, verifying that variations stay within acceptable limits. These measurements are precise to fractions of traditional units, accuracy that approaches the limits of hand craftsmanship, precision that enables stone to fit stone without mortar, joints so tight that a knife blade cannot penetrate. The approved pieces are moved to a staging area, arranged in the order of their installation, protected from weather and damage, ready for the complex process of lifting and positioning. Each piece represents hours of skilled labor, cannot be replaced quickly or easily, demands careful handling throughout the construction process. A master crane operator prepares his equipment, checking ropes and pulleys, testing mechanical advantage, calculating lifting angles. His work requires both technical knowledge and intuitive understanding, the ability to move massive stones with millimeter precision, to position them exactly where the architects intended, despite working at great heights with crude but effective tools. The crane itself is a marvel of engineering, constructed entirely from timber and rope, but capable of lifting blocks weighing many tons. Its design comes from treatises on mechanics, from accumulated experience with monumental construction, from the patient refinement of technique through countless projects. You watch as a completed archstone is prepared for lifting, wrapped in protective cloth, secured with carefully placed ropes, checked and rechecked to ensure safe transport. This single stone represents weeks of work, but it's just one element in an arch, which is just one element in the tomb, which is just one element in the entire complex. The lifting begins slowly, carefully, the stone rising with geological patience. 12 men coordinate their efforts, pulling in unison, responding to the crane master's gentle commands. No sudden movements, no harsh jerks, everything smooth as the flow of water, steady as the progress of seasons. As the stone reaches its destination, masons guide it into position, checking alignment, verifying fit, making minute adjustments until the placement is perfect. The stone settles into its eternal resting place, becoming part of something greater than itself, contributing to beauty that will inspire souls for centuries. The moment of final positioning brings quiet satisfaction, not celebration, not relief, but the deep pleasure of work perfectly done, of individual skill serving collective purpose, of human effort participating in divine creation. This is the reward that sustains master craftsmen, the joy that makes demanding work feel like privilege. Other stones follow, each one lifted and positioned with the same care, the same precision, the same reverence for permanent beauty. The arch grows slowly, following mathematical principles, expressing geometric harmony, creating structural strength through perfect cooperation between individual elements. You observe the entire process with growing appreciation for the skill required, for the patience demanded, for the vision that coordinates so many individual efforts into unified purpose. This is architecture at its highest level. Not just building, but creation. Not just construction, but transcendence. The sun reaches its zenith, flooding the marble yard with brilliant light. The white stones seem to glow from within, translucent as pearls, luminous as moonbeams. This optical effect will be even more pronounced in the completed building, where carefully planned proportions and precisely positioned openings will orchestrate light into architectural music. The workers pause for midday prayers, facing toward Mecca, their movements synchronized by shared faith. This brief interruption sanctifies the work, connects human effort to divine purpose, reminds everyone that they serve something greater than earthly ambition. This understanding transforms the construction site into sacred space, labor into worship. As prayers conclude, work resumes with renewed dedication. Tools picked up with fresh reverence, stones approached with deeper appreciation. The brief pause has not broken the rhythm, but enriched it, connected individual efforts to eternal purposes, reminded everyone that they participate in something immortal. The afternoon light changes, growing warmer, more golden, revealing different qualities in the marble, bringing out subtle variations in color and texture. The stone seems alive, responsive to light's caresses, ready to participate in the optical effects that will make the completed Taj Mahal seem to breathe with mysterious life. A master architect arrives to inspect the day's progress, checking alignments, verifying proportions, ensuring that reality matches the mathematical ideal. His trained eye sees what others cannot, understands how small variations might affect the overall harmony, maintains the standards that separate good work from transcendent achievement. He confers quietly with the master masons, discussing technical challenges, potential improvements, adjustments that might enhance both beauty and structural integrity. These conversations flow in the specialized language of advanced construction, terms that connect this work to the great building traditions, to centuries of accumulated wisdom. His approval allows work to continue. His suggestions guide future efforts. His presence reminds everyone that individual excellence serves collective purpose, that personal skill contributes to architectural symphony, that human hands work to realize divine beauty. The marble whispers its ancient secrets, speaks of pressure and time, of mountains rising and falling, of geological patience rewarded with crystalline perfection. These stones carry eternity within them, permanence made visible, immortality given form. They wait to become part of love's greatest monument, to serve beauty that transcends time itself. Your eyelids grow heavy as you listen to marble's gentle voice, the soft sounds of chisel on stone, the whispered conversations of master craftsmen, the patient rhythm of eternal construction. These elements combine to create perfect peace, the satisfaction of meaningful work, the joy of participating in transcendent creation. You drift into dreams where stone becomes light, where human skill serves divine purpose, where individual effort contributes to collective beauty. Your breathing slows, matching the meditative pace of master craftsmanship, and you sink deeper into the marble's whispered promises, into visions of eternal love made visible, into the peaceful certainty that some things, some works, some devotions last forever. Chapter 4. Silent Geometry, Harmony of Lines and Stars. You find yourself in the quiet chamber where the master geometers work, surrounded by the mathematical foundations that govern every aspect of the Taj Mahal's design. The room glows with soft morning light, filtered through screens of carved marble that cast intricate shadows, patterns within patterns, geometry made visible through the interplay of light and stone. The silence here is profound, broken only by the gentle scratch of reed pens on parchment, the soft whisper of compass points tracing perfect circles, the barely audible breath of men who work with numbers as others work with clay, shaping reality through mathematical precision, creating beauty through geometric harmony. Master Ibrahim, the chief geometer, sits cross-legged at a low table, surrounded by instruments of brass and wood. His fingers move with surgeon-like precision, tracing relationships that govern proportion, balance, the mathematical music that underlies all transcendent architecture. Each line he draws connects to eternal principles, universal laws made visible in stone and space. The parchment before him shows the tomb's main elevation. But this is not a picture. It's a mathematical poem. Every line calculated according to principles that date back to Euclid, to the ancient masters who discovered the relationships between number and beauty, between geometry and the divine order that governs creation itself. "Look," he says softly, pointing to the great dome's outline. "This curve follows the golden ratio, the same proportion found in nautilus shells, in flower petals, in the human body. We don't invent these relationships, we discover them. We find the mathematics that God has woven into the fabric of creation, and we use them to create earthly reflections of heavenly perfection." His compass traces a perfect circle, the foundation of the dome's design. This circle will be translated into reality by master builders, will govern the placement of thousands of stones, will create the visual anchor that makes the entire composition complete. But first, it must exist as pure idea, perfect concept, mathematical truth made visible. Around him, junior geometers work on subsidiary calculations, determining the proportions of smaller elements, ensuring that every arch, every window, every decorative panel follows the same mathematical principles. Individual beauty serving overall harmony. Parts relating to the whole through numerical relationships that please the eye without announcing themselves. One young man calculates the proportions of the minarets, those slender towers that frame the tomb, their height relative to the dome, their diameter relative to their height, their spacing relative to the tomb's width, all governed by mathematical relationships that create visual music, architectural harmony that resonates in the viewer's soul. The calculations fill page after page, numbers that seem abstract but will become stone, ratios that appear theoretical but will create emotional effects, mathematics that looks cold but will inspire warm feelings of wonder, of recognition, of connection to something greater than individual human experience. Mathematics is the language of creation. Master Ibrahim continues, his voice barely above a whisper. When we use these proportions, these relationships, we align our work with the divine order. We create spaces that feel right, that bring peace to troubled souls, that connect earthly experience to heavenly realities. He demonstrates with a simple example, drawing two rectangles, one following arbitrary proportions, one following the golden ratio. The difference is subtle but unmistakable. The first rectangle looks merely functional. The second somehow pleases, satisfies, feels complete in ways that bypass rational analysis. This is why we spend months on calculations that others might dismiss as unnecessary, he explains. Because proportion is not decoration. It's the foundation of beauty itself. Without these relationships, architecture becomes mere building, functional but not inspiring, adequate but not transcendent. A brass astrolabe sits beside his drawing instruments, its intricate engravings mapping the positions of stars, the movements of planets, the celestial mechanics that govern time and space. This instrument connects earthly architecture to cosmic patterns, reminds the geometers that they work within universal principles, that their calculations participate in the mathematics that governs galaxies. The astrolabe was crafted in Isfahan by master instrument makers whose knowledge combines astronomy, mathematics, and metalworking. Its brass surface is covered with calculations, star maps, tables of numerical relationships. This single object embodies centuries of Islamic scientific achievement, the accumulated wisdom of scholars who saw mathematics as a path to divine understanding. We orient the tomb according to celestial principles. Master Ibrahim explains, adjusting the astrolabe's movable parts, not just facing Mecca, but aligned with cosmic forces, connected to the eternal dance of stars and planets. The building becomes a three-dimensional calendar, a stone computer that participates in universal rhythms. This cosmic orientation will affect how light enters the building, how shadows fall throughout the day, how the marble responds to different angles of illumination. These are not accidents, but carefully planned effects. Architecture that changes with time, that participates in the daily and seasonal cycles that govern all life. A junior geometer approaches with a problem. The proportions of a decorative panel seem slightly off. The mathematical relationships don't quite resolve. Master Ibrahim examines the calculations, his trained eye immediately identifying the error. A small mistake in the application of proportional principles that would create subtle but persistent visual tension. Here, he says gently, indicating the problem area. You've calculated the width correctly, but the height needs to follow the harmonic proportion, not the arithmetic. See how this creates a different relationship? One that resonates with the overall composition rather than fighting against it. The correction seems minor, a difference of inches in a building hundreds of feet tall. But Master Ibrahim understands that architectural harmony depends on getting every proportion correct, that small discrepancies propagate through the entire design, that perfection requires attention to details that others might overlook. The corrected calculation flows across the parchment, numbers transforming into beauty, mathematics becoming architecture. The young geometer nods understanding, absorbing not just the specific correction, but the underlying principle, the commitment to absolute precision that separates good work from transcendent achievement. This teaching moment illustrates the workshop's deeper purpose, not just producing calculations, but transmitting wisdom, not just solving immediate problems, but preparing the next generation of master geometers, ensuring that the measurement verified against the master calculations. The pen moves smoothly across the parchment, creating lines of consistent width and darkness. This drawing must be absolutely accurate. Any error will be multiplied thousands of times in stone. The scribe uses special ink, carbon black mixed with gum arabic and gold dust, creating lines that will neither fade nor blur with age. This ink recipe comes from the great libraries of Baghdad and Cordoba, from centuries of Islamic scholarship, from the same tradition that preserved Greek mathematical texts through the Dark Ages, that advanced human understanding of number and proportion. Beside him, another scribe works on the geometric patterns that will govern decorative elements: 8-pointed stars, hexagons and octagons, interlacing polygons that create visual music. These patterns follow mathematical principles but hide their complexity behind apparent simplicity, creating beauty that pleases both the trained eye and the innocent observer. The 8-pointed star, the khatam, appears throughout Islamic art. Its geometry reflects the breadth of divine mercy, the 8 directions of space, the regeneration that comes after completion. But these symbolic meanings emerge naturally from the mathematical relationships, meaning and beauty unified through numerical harmony. Each star connects to its neighbors through precise angular relationships, creating rhythm, repetition, the visual equivalent of musical scales and harmonies. The pattern could extend infinitely, but it's contained within architectural boundaries, creating tension between expansion and limitation, between the infinite and the finite. Master Ibrahim approaches to verify the pattern calculations, his compass tracing the key relationships, checking angles, measuring proportions, ensuring that the mathematical reality matches the theoretical ideal. His approval will allow the pattern to proceed to the master carvers, who will translate numbers into carved stone, calculations into permanent beauty. These patterns are prayers made visible, he explains, each repetition an act of devotion, each geometric relationship a recognition of divine order. The eye follows these patterns as the heart follows prayer, led through mathematical meditation toward divine understanding. The morning light shifts, changing the appearance of the drawings, revealing details that were hidden, concealing others that were obvious. This interplay of light and geometry will be orchestrated throughout the Taj Mahal, creating effects that change with the time of day, with the seasons, with the viewer's position and attention. A water clock in the corner measures time's passage through geometric principles, water flowing through precisely calculated openings, marking hours through mathematical relationships between volume and flow. Even timekeeping becomes an expression of geometric beauty, a practical application of proportional principles. The clock's gentle gurgling provides acoustic background for the geometer's work, regular, soothing, connecting their calculations to the flow of time, to the cycles that govern all existence. Their work participates in eternity, but it must also respect temporal limitations, construction schedules, material availability, human endurance. A messenger arrives with questions from the construction site, measurements that need verification, proportions that require clarification. The connection between theoretical geometry and practical building is constant. ongoing, requiring continuous dialogue between those who calculate and those who construct. Master Ibrahim reviews the questions carefully, consulting his master drawings, verifying relationships, providing answers that maintain mathematical integrity while acknowledging practical constraints. This balance between ideal and real, between perfect theory and imperfect materials, represents one of architecture's greatest challenges. He dictates responses to a junior assistant, who records them in clear, precise language. These instructions will guide master craftsmen, will influence the placement of individual stones, will affect the building's proportions for all eternity. Every word must be accurate, every specification exact, every relationship clearly explained. The morning's work produces several completed drawings, master templates that will serve construction for months to come. Each drawing represents hours of calculation, verification, refinement, but the effort is justified by the results, by the mathematical harmony that will transform stone into transcendent architecture. A senior geometer begins work on the tomb's interior proportions, the relationships between floor and ceiling, between wall and dome, between human scale and cosmic grandeur. These calculations are even more complex, must account for the effects of enclosure, the psychology of interior space, the spiritual impact of contained vastness. The interior dome will seem to float, to defy gravity through perfect proportioning. The mathematical relationships will create an illusion of weightlessness, of liberation from earthly constraints. Visitors will experience transcendence through carefully calculated geometry, will feel connected to divine infinity through precise numerical relationships. His compass traces the great circle that will govern the interior dome's curvature. But this circle must be modified, adjusted for the effects of perspective, for the way the human eye perceives curved surfaces from below. The pure geometry must be adapted to psychological reality, mathematical truth adjusted for perceptual truth. Perfect geometry serves human experience, he explains softly. Don't create monuments to mathematics, but use mathematics to create monuments that move human hearts. The numbers are tools, servants of beauty rather than masters of it. This philosophy distinguishes Islamic architecture from mere mathematical exercise. The geometry serves spiritual purposes, creates effects that transcend rational analysis, produces buildings that satisfy both mind and soul, that please through proportion while inspiring through meaning. A quality inspector examines the completed drawings, checking calculations against established standards, verifying that proportions follow traditional principles while serving the specific requirements of this unique building. His approval certifies that the work meets the highest standards, that it's worthy of permanent application. The approved drawings are carefully rolled in silk, protected from dust and damage, stored in cedar chests that preserve parchment for centuries. These documents will outlast the men who created them, will guide future restorations, will preserve the mathematical knowledge that makes the Taj Mahal eternally perfect in its proportions. You notice how the geometers work with religious devotion, their calculations performed like prayers, their instruments handled like sacred objects. This reverence comes from understanding that mathematics reveals divine order, that geometric harmony connects earthly creation to heavenly perfection, that their work participates in sacred reality. A young apprentice practices basic constructions, perfect squares, regular polygons, the fundamental shapes that combine to create more complex patterns. His movements are careful, meditative, each construction performed with the precision of ritual. These basic skills form the foundation for advanced work, must be mastered completely before proceeding to higher levels. His master observes patiently, offering gentle corrections, ensuring that each construction meets perfect standards. There is no hurry here, no pressure to advance quickly. Mastery comes through repetition, through the gradual refinement of skill and understanding, through the patient accumulation of geometric wisdom. Draw 10,000 circles, the master advises. Before attempting your first dome calculation, master the basics so completely that they become unconscious, automatic. Only then will your mind be free to engage with higher principles, to discover the relationships that create transcendent beauty. This teaching philosophy extends throughout the workshop, senior masters working with infinite patience to transmit their knowledge, to prepare successors who will carry the tradition forward, to ensure that the geometric principles underlying Islamic architecture will survive to serve future generations. The apprentice's circles gradually improve, becoming rounder, more perfect, approaching the ideal of absolute circularity. Each circle represents progress, growth in understanding, movement toward mastery. The accumulated circles fill sheet after sheet of practice parchment, evidence of dedication, commitment to excellence. A philosopher visits the workshop, attracted by the intersection of mathematics and spirituality. By the way, geometric principles serve religious architecture. He discusses with Master Ibrahim the connections between numerical relationships and divine attributes, between proportional harmony and spiritual transcendence. God is a geometer. The philosopher observes, creation follows mathematical laws, exhibits proportional relationships, demonstrates geometric principles. When we discover these patterns, apply them to architecture, we participate in divine creativity. We create earthly reflections of heavenly realities. This conversation illustrates the intellectual climate surrounding the Taj Mahal's construction. The way Islamic culture integrates science and spirituality, mathematics and mysticism, practical knowledge and transcendent wisdom. The building emerges from this synthesis, represents its highest architectural achievement. The geometric workshop serves as more than technical facility. It's a center of learning, a place where mathematical knowledge advances through practical application, where theoretical principles meet real-world challenges, where abstract beauty becomes concrete reality. Master Ibrahim returns to his own calculations, working on the complex relationships that will govern the tomb's exterior illumination. The way sunlight will strike different surfaces throughout the day, the optical effects that will make white marble seem to change color with changing light. This requires advanced understanding of both geometry and optics. The calculations fill multiple sheets, tracking the sun's path across the sky, accounting for seasonal variations, predicting the effects of different angles of illumination. This mathematical choreography will transform the building into a solar instrument, architecture that participates in cosmic rhythms. His work connects to ancient astronomical traditions, to the Islamic scholars who advanced human understanding of celestial mechanics, to the mathematical principles that govern planetary motion. The Taj Mahal will be aligned not just with earthly directions, but with cosmic forces, positioned to capture and orchestrate divine light. A master calligrapher arrives seeking geometric guidance for the proportions of Arabic letter forms. The calligraphy that will adorn the tomb must follow the same mathematical principles as the architecture itself, must participate in the overall harmonic system, must contribute to, rather than compete with, the building's geometric foundation. The collaboration between geometer and calligrapher illustrates the integrated nature of Islamic art, the way different disciplines serve unified purposes, the manner in which mathematical principles coordinate all aspects of design. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything participates in the greater harmony. They work together to establish the proper relationships, letter height to building scale, word spacing to architectural rhythm, textual flow to geometric pattern. The resulting calligraphy will seem perfectly natural, inevitable, but will actually follow sophisticated mathematical principles, will contribute to the building's overall proportional system. The morning advances, bringing more visitors, more consultations, more opportunities for the geometric principles to influence practical decisions. The workshop functions as the mathematical brain of the entire project, the source of numerical relationships that govern everything from overall proportions to decorative details. A structural engineer seeks verification of load-bearing calculations, ensuring that the building's beauty doesn't compromise its stability, that architectural harmony includes structural integrity, that the mathematical relationships serve both aesthetic and engineering requirements, beauty and strength unified through geometric principles. Master Ibrahim reviews the structural calculations carefully, his understanding encompassing both artistic and engineering applications of mathematics. The dome's proportions must satisfy the eye while distributing weight properly. The arch's curves must create visual harmony while channeling forces effectively. Form and function integrated through geometric wisdom. His approval confirms that the building will stand for centuries, that its mathematical beauty includes practical durability, that the geometric relationships serve eternal purposes. This integration of aesthetic and structural concerns represents Islamic architecture's highest achievement, beauty that includes rather than ignores practical requirements. The workshop gradually fills with the gentle sounds of focused work. Compass points marking parchment, pens scratching calculations, quiet conversations exploring mathematical relationships. These sounds create a symphony of intellectual activity, minds engaging with eternal principles, human intelligence serving divine purposes. You feel yourself drawn into this contemplative atmosphere, the peace of concentrated thought, the satisfaction of discovering perfect relationships, the joy of participating in creation through mathematical understanding. The geometric harmony influences your own consciousness, brings clarity, promotes inner calm. The patterns on the parchments seem to pulse with hidden life, to vibrate with mathematical energy. Each line connects to others through invisible relationships, creating networks of proportion that extend throughout the building's design. Geometry becomes a living system, mathematics transformed into architectural organism. A young geometer achieves a breakthrough, discovers an elegant solution to a complex proportional problem. His excitement is quiet, but profound. The joy of mathematical discovery, of finding relationships that serve both beauty and meaning. These moments of insight drive the entire enterprise, make the long hours of calculation worthwhile. His solution is examined by senior masters, verified through multiple approaches, tested against traditional principles. Only after thorough review is it approved for application. The standards are absolute, the commitment to mathematical perfection unwavering. Excellence admits no compromise, no shortcuts, no approximations. The approved solution joins the accumulating body of knowledge, becomes part of the mathematical foundation supporting the Taj Mahal's construction. Individual insights contributing to collective wisdom, personal discoveries serving eternal purposes, human intelligence participating in divine creativity. The midday call to prayer interrupts the work, but doesn't break its flow. The geometers set aside their instruments, face toward Mecca, join their voices in ancient words. This pause sanctifies their calculations, connects mathematical work to spiritual purpose, reminds everyone that numbers serve divine beauty. The prayers flow like geometric patterns, repetitive but not monotonous, structured but not rigid, creating meaning through mathematical relationships between sound and silence, between individual voice and collective harmony. The same principles that govern architecture governing spiritual practice. As prayers conclude, work resumes with renewed dedication, instruments picked up with fresh reverence, calculations approached with deeper appreciation. The brief interruption has enriched rather than interrupted the geometric exploration, connected earthly mathematics to heavenly realities. The afternoon light reveals new qualities in the drawings, shows relationships that weren't visible before, conceals others that dominated in morning illumination. This changing perception will be orchestrated in the completed building, creating architecture that lives, that participates in temporal cycles while expressing eternal principles. Master Ibrahim begins his final calculations of the day, complex relationships that will govern tomorrow's construction activities, numbers that will become stone, ratios that will create emotional effects, mathematical harmony that will inspire spiritual transcendence. His work bridges the gap between pure idea and physical reality. The calculations flow across clean parchment, precise, elegant, beautiful in their mathematical sophistication. Each number contributes to relationships that will outlast empires, proportions that will inspire souls for centuries, geometric harmony that participates in divine order. You observe this daily miracle abstract mathematics becoming concrete beauty, pure thought transforming into eternal architecture, human intelligence serving purposes greater than individual understanding. The geometric workshop represents humanity at its finest. Minds engaged with transcendent principles, hearts devoted to divine beauty. Your eyelids grow heavy as you contemplate these perfect relationships. The mathematical harmonies that govern universal beauty. The geometric principles that connect earthly architecture to heavenly realities. The gentle sounds of calculation. The meditative atmosphere of concentrated thought. The peace of minds aligned with eternal truth. You drift into dreams where numbers become music, where geometric patterns dance with living light, where mathematical relationships create spaces of infinite beauty. Your breathing slows to match the rhythm of perfect calculation, and you sink deeper into the silent geometry that governs all creation, into the peaceful certainty that beauty and truth are one, that human intelligence can serve divine purposes, that mathematics is indeed the language of God. Chapter 5. Evening under the minarets. Rest beneath the unfinished sky. You find yourself in the garden pavilion as the sun begins its gentle descent toward the horizon. The day's work is nearly done, and the construction site across the Yamuna settles into the peaceful rhythm of evening. The air carries the scent of jasmine and roses, mixed with the clean smell of marble dust, the honest fragrance of meaningful labor completed with devotion. The 4 minarets of the Taj Mahal rise against the darkening sky, still incomplete, but already magnificent in their graceful proportions. Slender towers that seem to reach toward heaven itself. Their white marble surfaces catch the golden light of late afternoon, glowing like pillars of crystallized sunset, like prayers made visible in stone. Each minaret stands perfectly vertical, its slight lean designed to compensate for optical illusion, mathematical precision serving visual truth. These towers will frame the Great Dome for centuries, will call the faithful to prayer, will serve as landmarks for travelers, will stand as symbols of humanity's desire to touch the divine. The construction scaffolding that surrounds them creates intricate patterns of light and shadow. Wooden frameworks that serve temporary purposes but possess their own austere beauty. This scaffolding will disappear when the work is complete, but for now, it participates in the monument's daily reality, supports the patient process of creation. You settle onto the marble bench where you began this day, feeling the stone's coolness against your body. The bench itself represents the same principles that govern the entire complex: perfect proportions, flawless execution, beauty integrated with function. Even the smallest elements reflect the commitment to transcendent quality. The Yamuna flows beside you, its surface reflecting the changing colors of the evening sky: gold and amber, rose and violet. The river has witnessed the entire day's work, the patient accumulation of small perfections that transform vision into reality. It will continue flowing long after the Taj Mahal is complete, carrying the reflections of eternal beauty toward the distant sea. A gentle breeze moves through the garden, stirring the cypress trees, carrying the evening call to prayer from the nearby mosque. The sound floats across the water like a bridge of pure music, connecting all the faithful, all the workers, all who participate in this great work of love and devotion. The workers begin to leave the construction site, their day's contributions complete. Each man carries with him the satisfaction of meaningful work, of skills employed in service of something greater than personal gain. Their footsteps on the stone pathways create a gentle percussion, the sound of pilgrims departing from sacred space. Master craftsmen walk slowly, their tools carefully cleaned and stored, their work areas prepared for tomorrow's efforts. There is no hurry here, no frantic rush to depart. Everything flows with the natural rhythm of completion, of cycles honored, of daily devotions properly concluded. Some workers pause at small shrines along the pathways, offering brief prayers of gratitude, acknowledging the gift of meaningful work, the privilege of contributing to eternal beauty. These moments of individual devotion connect personal effort to divine purpose, transform labor into worship. The light continues to change, growing warmer and softer. The white marble of the rising tomb seems to absorb this golden illumination, to glow from within like a living jewel. This optical effect is not accidental, but carefully planned, the result of precise calculations, mathematical relationships designed to orchestrate light into architectural music. As the sun moves lower, the building's proportions create different shadow patterns, reveal new relationships between elements, demonstrate how great architecture participates in cosmic rhythms, changes with changing light, while maintaining eternal harmony. The Taj Mahal will be a different building at every hour, yet always perfectly itself. You observe the way shadows define the architectural elements, make visible the subtle modeling of surfaces, reveal the depth and complexity hidden within apparently simple forms. This interplay of light and shadow will continue for centuries, creating daily performances of optical beauty, architectural theater played in illumination and darkness. A master architect walks alone through the garden, his day's drawings rolled under his arm, his mind still engaged with proportional relationships, geometric harmonies, mathematical solutions to aesthetic challenges. His work bridges the gap between pure idea and physical reality, transforms abstract beauty into tangible form. He pauses beside the fountain where you observe the morning's rituals, his reflection joining those of the cypress trees in the still water. The same water that began this day's narrative continues to flow, connecting beginning to end, dawn to dusk, individual moments to eternal cycles. The fountain's gentle sounds provide acoustic background for evening contemplation, regular, soothing, connecting human consciousness to natural rhythms, to the patient persistence that characterizes all great creation. The water has flowed thus for hours, will continue flowing for centuries, constant as the love that inspires this entire enterprise. Garden workers move quietly among the flower beds, tending roses and jasmine, ensuring that the living beauty surrounding the tomb maintains the same standards of perfection demanded of the architecture. Their work is less visible, but equally important, creating the natural setting that completes the monument's meaning. The roses they tend are of varieties chosen for their symbolic significance: red for passionate love, white for purity, pink for gratitude. These living flowers complement the stone flowers carved in marble. Nature and art, unified in celebration of eternal themes. Temporary blooms and permanent petals, serving the same aesthetic vision. The scent of these flowers will always be associated with the Taj Mahal. Visitors will remember not just visual beauty, but this fragrant atmosphere, the sensory completeness that marks the highest achievements of garden design. Beauty that engages all the senses, creates complete experiences rather than mere visual displays. A peacock calls from the cypress grove, its voice clear and musical in the evening air. The bird itself moves with regal dignity through the garden pathways, its brilliant plumage inspiring decorative motifs throughout the complex. Nature providing templates that human art refines and immortalizes. The peacock's tail displays geometric patterns that rival any human design. Mathematical relationships discovered through evolutionary process. Natural selection producing beauty that follows the same proportional principles governing architecture. This convergence suggests deep connections between artistic and natural beauty, between human creativity and cosmic design. As the sun continues its descent, the air begins to cool, bringing relief from the day's heat. This temperature change signals the approach of evening, the time for rest and reflection, for assessing the day's accomplishments, for preparing mind and spirit for tomorrow's challenges. The evening breeze carries new fragrances, night-blooming flowers beginning to open, jasmine and tuberose, creating an olfactory symphony that changes with the changing light. The garden reveals different aspects of its beauty at different times, rewards attention with constantly shifting sensory experiences. You rise from your bench and walk slowly through the garden paths, observing the day's transition toward night, feeling the peace that comes with meaningful work completed, satisfying labor concluded. Another day's contribution made to the monument that will outlast empires, express eternal love, inspire souls for centuries. The stone pathways beneath your feet have been traveled by thousands of workers, craftsmen and architects, engineers and artists, all contributing their skills to this collective vision. Your footsteps join theirs in the accumulated pilgrimage, the daily journey toward transcendent beauty. Fireflies begin to appear among the garden plantings, tiny points of living light that dance through the gathering dusk. Their bioluminescent glow will inspire the precious stone inlays that make marble seem to sparkle with inner fire. Nature again providing inspiration for architectural art. The water channels that divide the garden into geometric sections continue their gentle flow, fed by hidden sources, following precisely calculated gradients, creating the acoustic background that makes this space conducive to meditation, contemplation, the deep peace required for creative work. These channels represent the four rivers of paradise, the waters that flow through divine gardens. The earthly garden mirrors heavenly realities, creates spaces that prefigure eternal bliss, allows visitors to experience transcendence within temporal limits. This symbolic dimension adds meaning to beauty, depth to visual pleasure. As you approach the river pavilion, you notice how its proportions relate to the rising tomb across the water. Architectural elements in dialogue, creating visual rhythms that span the river, connect different parts of the complex into unified composition. Even the negative space between buildings serves aesthetic purposes. The pavilion itself demonstrates the principles governing the entire project: perfect proportions, flawless execution, beauty that serves spiritual purposes. Its marble columns catch the last light, seem to glow with inner radiance, participate in the optical effects that make Mughal architecture seem alive, responsive to changing illumination. From this vantage point, you can see the entire construction site, the accumulated work of months, the patient transformation of raw materials into architectural poetry, scaffolding and cranes, piles of marble blocks, workshops and temporary structures, all serving the vision of perfect beauty, all contributing to love's greatest monument. The workers' quarters are visible in the distance, simple but dignified buildings where master craftsmen rest between days of demanding labor. These accommodations reflect the same attention to proportion and comfort that characterizes the tomb itself. Recognition that those who create beauty deserve beautiful environments. Smoke rises from cooking fires, preparing the evening meal for thousands of workers. The same hands that shape marble and precious stones now prepare simple food, perform domestic tasks, participate in the daily rituals that sustain human life. Even the most transcendent projects depend on mundane necessities. The smell of cooking spices mixes with garden fragrances, cumin and coriander, cardamom and cloves, creating olfactory complexity that matches the visual sophistication of the architecture. Complete sensory environments rather than single-sense experiences. Beauty that engages human beings fully. A group of musicians appears in the garden, carrying traditional instruments, sitar and tabla, sarod and tampura. They settle beneath a flowering tree, preparing to provide musical accompaniment to the evening's contemplation. Sound that complements the visual harmony. Acoustic architecture to match the stone construction. Their music begins softly, gently, following classical ragas appropriate to the evening hour, to the contemplative mood, to the sacred purposes of this space. The melodies flow like the garden's water channels, following ancient patterns, creating beauty through mathematical relationships. Sound architecture that mirrors visual design. The sitar strings resonate with frequencies that match the proportional relationships governing the building's design. Musical intervals that correspond to architectural harmonies. This is not coincidence, but recognition. Understanding that beauty in all arts follows similar principles, serves similar purposes, expresses similar truths. You listen to the music with the same attention you've given to visual beauty throughout this day, allowing sound to create interior spaces, emotional architecture, spiritual chambers where consciousness can rest and refresh itself, music as temporary architecture, sound as building material for interior construction. The tabla provides rhythmic foundation, steady as heartbeat, regular as breath, connecting musical time to bodily rhythms, to natural cycles, to the patient tempo that governs all great creation. The drummer's hands move with the same precision displayed by stone carvers, different materials, same devotion to perfect execution. Other evening sounds join the musical performance, the gentle splash of fountains, the rustle of leaves in evening breeze. The distant calls of night birds, beginning their own songs. These natural acoustics complement rather than compete with human music, create acoustic environment of layered beauty. A servant appears with the evening refreshment. Sherbet, flavored with rose petals and mint, served in crystal glasses that catch and refract the last light. This drink provides both physical refreshment and sensory pleasure. Taste that matches the visual and auditory beauty. Complete aesthetic experience. The sherbet is cool and sweet, refreshing after the day's heat. Its flavors connect to the garden's living beauty. Rose petals from the same bushes that provide visual pleasure. Mint from herb gardens that supply the kitchens. Everything interconnected. Everything serving multiple purposes. Beauty that encompasses practical needs. As you sip the sherbet, you reflect on the day's experiences, the patient work observed in multiple workshops, the accumulated skills, the dedication to perfect execution, the collective commitment to creating something greater than any individual contribution. This is architecture at its highest level. Human cooperation serving transcendent purposes. The crystal glass itself represents the same principles. Transparency achieved through precise chemistry. Clarity created through controlled heating and cooling. Perfect form resulting from traditional knowledge applied with contemporary skill. Even the drinking vessel participates in the aesthetic program, serves beauty while serving function. The sun touches the horizon now, beginning its final descent toward night. The sky fills with colors that will inspire the precious stone inlays, gold and rose, amber and violet, carnelian and amethyst. Nature providing the palette that human art will immortalize in marble settings. The tomb across the river seems to float in this colored light, to participate in the sunset's beauty while maintaining its own architectural dignity. This optical effect represents one of the building's most magical qualities, its ability to seem ethereal while being solidly constructed, to appear weightless while being perfectly stable. The minarets catch fire in the sunset light, become pillars of golden flame, vertical prayers reaching toward heaven. Their slender forms create perfect counterpoint to the dome's swelling curves. Masculine and feminine principles balanced, linear and curvilinear elements unified in architectural harmony. As the light continues to change, different surfaces reveal different qualities. The marble's crystalline structure becomes more apparent. Its ability to transmit as well as reflect light, to glow from within rather than merely shine from surface. This luminous quality will make the completed tomb seem alive, responsive to changing conditions. Workers light oil lamps throughout the construction site, creating points of warm light that will guide evening activities, allow certain types of work to continue after sunset. The lamps themselves are beautiful objects, brass and bronze, designed with the same attention to proportion that governs the architecture. The lamp flames flickered gently in the evening breeze, creating moving patterns of light and shadow, reminding observers that even the most permanent architecture participates in temporal change, exists within time while expressing timeless principles, serves mortal needs while reaching toward immortal beauty. Garden pathways are illuminated by similar lamps, creating rivers of light that guide evening strollers. Allow the beauty to be appreciated in different conditions. The garden at night reveals different qualities: mysterious, intimate, conducive to contemplation and prayer. Beauty that changes while remaining constant. The evening call to prayer sounds across the water, more resonant in the cooler air, carrying further, reaching into every corner of the complex. This call sanctifies the day's conclusion, connects individual effort to divine purpose, reminds everyone that human work serves sacred ends. Workers throughout the area pause in their activities, face toward Mecca, join their voices in ancient words. This collective prayer unifies diverse individuals, different crafts, various levels of skill, all participating in shared devotion, all serving the same transcendent vision. The prayers flow like water, like music, like the mathematical relationships that govern architectural harmony. Individual voices creating collective beauty, personal devotion serving universal purposes, temporal sounds expressing eternal truths, prayer as architecture, words as building materials for spiritual construction. As prayers conclude, the evening activities resume, but with different energy, more contemplative, more peaceful. The day's urgent tasks are complete. Time now for reflection, for assessing progress, for preparing mentally and spiritually for tomorrow's challenges. Some workers remain in the garden, walking slowly, enjoying the cooling air, the musical accompaniment, the sensory richness of evening in paradise. Others return to their quarters, to family meals, to personal devotions, to the private activities that balance public service. The musicians continue playing, their music flowing with the garden's fountains, mixing with evening fragrances, creating synesthetic experience where sound becomes scent, where melody becomes color, where rhythm becomes the pulse of divine creation itself. A master calligrapher sits alone, sketching Arabic letter forms in the lamplight, practicing the flowing curves that will become permanent inscriptions. His work connects word and image, meaning and beauty, sacred text and visual art, language as architecture, letters as decorative elements serving spiritual purposes. His sketches fill page after page, thousands of repetitions, millions of pen strokes, all serving the goal of perfect execution, of letter forms worthy of eternal inscription, of calligraphy that serves divine beauty, human patience matching divine patience, mortal dedication serving immortal purposes. The garden's night sounds begin to emerge, different from day sounds, but equally beautiful. Night birds calling, insects creating acoustic textures, water sounds more prominent in the absence of daytime activities, nature's evening concert complementing human music. These natural sounds will always be part of the Taj Mahal's atmosphere, the acoustic environment that completes its beauty. Visitors will remember not just visual magnificence, but this rich soundscape, the sensory completeness that marks the highest achievements of environmental design. A group of young apprentices gathers around a master craftsman, listening to stories of other great buildings, other magnificent projects, other monuments to love and devotion. These tales connect current work to historical tradition, remind everyone that they participate in ancient patterns, serve eternal purposes. The stories flow like the evening breeze, carrying wisdom across generations, connecting past achievements to present efforts, inspiring continued dedication to perfect execution. Oral traditions supplementing written knowledge, personal example inspiring individual commitment, memory serving as foundation for future excellence. As full darkness approaches, the lamp flames become more prominent, creating intimate circles of illumination, spaces for quiet conversation, contemplative observation, personal reflection on the day's experiences, light as architecture, flame as building material for interior spaces. You feel the day's satisfaction settling into your consciousness, the peace that comes from witnessing meaningful work, from observing human skill serving divine purposes, from participating in creation at its highest level. This is the reward that makes all effort worthwhile, the joy that transforms labor into worship. The unfinished tomb across the river stands patient in the darkness, marble glowing softly in reflected lamplight, already magnificent, destined to become more beautiful still. Its incomplete state somehow emphasizes its eternal purpose, suggests the ongoing nature of all human striving toward divine beauty. The minarets rise into the star-filled sky, their tops disappearing into darkness, connecting earth to heaven, finite construction to infinite space, human architecture participating in cosmic grandeur, mortal work touching immortal realities. These towers will stand for centuries, will call faithful souls to prayer, will serve as beacons for spiritual pilgrims. A gentle fatigue settles over the garden, the natural conclusion to a day well spent, meaningful work completed, satisfying contributions made to eternal beauty, bodies tired but souls refreshed, minds clear but hearts full. The best kind of exhaustion, the weariness that comes from serving purposes greater than personal ambition. The musicians play their final pieces, melodies that ease the transition toward sleep, toward dreams, toward the interior journeys that restore creative energy. Their music fades gradually, naturally, allowing silence to reclaim the garden, preparing consciousness for rest and restoration. The fountain sounds become more prominent as human activities diminish, water's eternal voice speaking of patience, persistence, the slow but certain progress toward perfection. These sounds will continue through the night, will greet tomorrow's workers, will provide acoustic continuity spanning days, weeks, months, years. Garden fragrances intensify in the cooling air. Jasmine and tuberose, rose and mint, creating olfactory memories that will always be associated with this place, this purpose, this commitment to transcendent beauty. Scents that capture the essence of paradise, of spaces designed to prefigure heavenly realities. You begin your own transition toward rest, walking slowly toward your dwelling, carrying with you the day's accumulated experiences, the witnessed devotion, the observed excellence, the participated beauty. These memories will inform your dreams, will provide foundation for tomorrow's efforts, will sustain commitment to perfect execution. The pathways guide you through increasing darkness, lamp flames creating pools of guidance. Architectural light serving pedestrian needs while maintaining aesthetic purposes. Even practical necessities reflect the commitment to beauty, to excellence in all things, to environments worthy of the work performed within them. Your dwelling appears ahead, its simple lines perfect in their proportions, its modest scale appropriate to its purposes. This too reflects the principles governing the greater project: appropriate beauty, elegant sufficiency, form serving function while expressing eternal values. Inside, oil lamps create warm illumination, reveal familiar objects, instruments and drawings, books and calculations, the tools of architectural creation arranged with ceremonial care. Each object serves creative purposes, participates in the daily miracle of transforming vision into reality. You prepare for rest with the same meditative attention that has characterized the entire day. Each action performed consciously, ceremonially, with reverence for the body that serves creative purposes, for the mind that engages with divine principles, for the spirit that finds meaning in transcendent service. The evening ablutions cleanse away the day's accumulated dust, the honest residue of meaningful labor. Water flows cool and clean, refreshing skin made tired by creative effort. This cleansing prepares not just body, but consciousness for rest, for the interior journeys that restore creative energy. Your sleeping mat awaits, cotton soft as moonlight, positioned to catch the evening breeze, to provide the physical comfort necessary for complete rest. Even sleep serves creative purposes, restoration that enables continued service, rest that prepares for renewed dedication. As you settle onto the mat, you reflect on the day's progression, from dawn calculations to evening contemplation, from morning prayers to twilight music, from individual effort to collective achievement. The daily cycle complete, but preparing for tomorrow's continuation. Rest serving future creation. Through your window, the Yamuna flows silver in the moonlight, carrying reflections of stars, of lamp flames, of the rising tomb's pale silhouette. The same river that began this narrative continues its eternal journey, connecting past to future, individual moments to cosmic cycles, temporal beauty to timeless truth. The night sounds settle into their own rhythm, different from day sounds but equally purposeful. Night guards calling softly to each other, ensuring the security of precious work, protecting the accumulated beauty, maintaining vigilance over dreams made manifest in stone and space. An owl calls from the cypress grove, its voice deep and musical, adding bass notes to the night's acoustic symphony. These trees will outlive the current generation of workers, will shade future visitors, will participate in the monument's meaning for centuries. Living architecture, complementing stone construction. The lamp flames flicker gently in the night breeze, creating moving shadows on the walls, patterns that shift and flow like living geometric designs. Like the decorative motifs being carved in marble workshops, temporary beauty echoing eternal forms. Light as architect, shadow as building material. Your breathing slows naturally, matching the night's peaceful rhythm. The air carries coolness from the river, fragrance from night-blooming flowers, the subtle scents of marble dust and sandalwood, jasmine and rosewater, creating olfactory environment conducive to deep rest, to restorative dreams. The cotton beneath you feels softer now, more welcoming. Your body settles into complete relaxation, muscles releasing the day's accumulated tension, joints finding their natural alignment, physical rest preparing for mental and spiritual restoration, sleep as sacred activity, dreams as continuation of creative work. In the distance, very faintly, you can hear the occasional sound from the construction site. Night watchmen making their rounds, protecting the work in progress, ensuring that tomorrow's efforts can continue uninterrupted. Their vigilance allows creative workers to rest completely, to surrender consciousness without worry. The sounds of your own dwelling settle into nighttime quiet. The gentle creaking of timber cooling, the soft whisper of cotton curtains moving in the breeze, the barely audible hum of oil burning in brass lamps. These familiar sounds create acoustic comfort, environmental security that enables complete relaxation. Your mind begins to release the day's concentrated focus, allowing thoughts to flow more freely, connections to form spontaneously, creative consciousness, transitioning from directed attention to receptive awareness, from conscious construction to unconscious integration, mental rest that serves continued inspiration. Images from the day drift through your awareness. The master carver's hands shaping marble lotus petals, the geometer's compass tracing perfect circles, the inlay specialist cutting precious stones to impossible precision, the calligrapher's pen flowing in sacred letter forms, each image carrying the memory of excellence, of dedication, of transcendent service. These visual memories blend and flow, creating interior architecture, mental spaces where consciousness can rest and restore itself. Dream preparation beginning while waking awareness gradually fades. The boundary between conscious and unconscious creative work dissolving naturally. The Taj Mahal across the river stands patient in the darkness, its incomplete beauty suggesting infinite possibility, eternal potential. Its marble surfaces catch and hold starlight, seem to glow with inner radiance. Architecture participating in celestial illumination, earthly construction touching heavenly realities. The 4 minarets rise into star-filled space, their tops invisible in darkness, connecting visible construction to invisible infinities. These towers will stand for centuries, will call souls to prayer, will serve as vertical prayers themselves, reaching always toward divine beauty, toward perfect love. You feel your consciousness beginning to merge with larger rhythms, with the flow of the river, with the patience of growing gardens, with the persistence of master craftsmen, with the eternal love that inspires this entire enterprise. Individual awareness dissolving into collective purpose. Personal rest serving universal creation. The night breeze carries dreams across the garden, visions of completed beauty, of marble surfaces perfected, of precious stone inlays sparkling like captured starlight, of fountains reflecting sky, of visitors moved to tears by architectural transcendence. Future reality approaching through present dedication. Your breathing deepens further, following ancient patterns, rhythms that connect human life to cosmic cycles, to seasonal changes, to the patient persistence that creates all-lasting beauty. Sleep as participation in universal restoration. Rest as service to creative forces. The lamp flames grow dimmer, their oil slowly consumed, creating gradually increasing darkness. Natural transition toward complete rest, toward the interior journeys that restore creative energy, toward dreams where vision and reality merge, where human effort meets divine inspiration. The cotton mat seems to embrace you now, supporting complete relaxation, enabling total surrender to restorative processes. Physical comfort serving spiritual renewal, material support enabling transcendent rest, sleep as sacred architecture, dreams as interior construction. The last conscious sounds fade into silence. Fountain whispers, night bird calls, the gentle rustle of garden leaves. These natural rhythms continue, will provide acoustic continuity through the night, will greet tomorrow's consciousness with familiar beauty, with environmental constancy that enables complete rest. Your final waking thought embraces the day's meaning, the privilege of witnessing transcendent creation, of participating in love's greatest monument, of serving beauty that will outlast empires. This understanding brings deep satisfaction, profound peace, the joy that makes all effort worthwhile. The Yamuna flows on through darkness, carrying moonlight and starlight, reflecting the eternal patience required for great creation. Its waters will outlast the monument, will carry its reflections toward distant seas, will connect this sacred place to larger geographies, to cosmic cycles, to the infinite flow of time and space. Your consciousness dissolves into this greater flow, individual awareness merging with universal rhythms, personal rest serving eternal purposes, the boundary between self and creation disappearing in the gentle transition toward sleep, toward dreams, toward the interior restoration that enables continued service. The night deepens around you, embracing the entire construction site, the workshops and gardens, the rising tomb and patient river. Darkness as friend, silence as teacher, rest as preparation for continued creation. Sleep as participation in the cosmic patience required for transcendent beauty. The stars wheel overhead, following ancient patterns, mathematical relationships made visible in celestial mechanics. The same principles governing architecture, governing astronomical motion, earthly beauty reflecting heavenly harmonies, human creation participating in divine order. Your breathing becomes barely perceptible, synchronized with cosmic rhythms, with the patient pulse of universal creation. Individual life serving eternal purposes, personal rest enabling continued contribution to transcendent beauty, sleep as worship, dreams as prayer. The incomplete Taj Mahal stands silently in the star-washed darkness, patient as mountains, eternal as love itself. Its marble surfaces glow softly with absorbed starlight, architecture participating in celestial illumination, human construction touching infinite beauty. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities for perfect execution, new chances to serve transcendent purposes. But tonight brings complete rest, total restoration, the deep peace that comes from meaningful service, from participating in creation at its highest level. Your eyelids grow infinitely heavy, weighted with the day's accumulated satisfaction, the deep tiredness that comes from work perfectly performed, from skills employed in service of eternal beauty. This is the sweetest fatigue, the most restful exhaustion, sleep earned through transcendent service. The garden fragrances seem to concentrate around your resting place. Jasmine and rose, sandalwood and mint, creating olfactory embrace. Scented comfort that eases the transition toward complete rest, toward dreams where earthly beauty merges with divine inspiration. The fountain sounds grow more distant, more dreamlike, water's eternal voice speaking of patience, persistence, the slow but certain transformation of vision into reality. These sounds will continue through the night, will provide acoustic continuity, will bridge the gap between today's completion and tomorrow's beginning. Your consciousness sinks deeper into restorative darkness, following ancient pathways toward renewal, toward the interior restoration that serves continued creativity. Sleep as sacred activity, rest as preparation for transcendent service, dreams as continuation of divine work. The night breeze whispers through your dwelling, carrying coolness from the sacred river, fragrance from paradise gardens, the subtle essence of marble dust and precious stones, sandalwood incense and rose water, environmental lullaby that eases consciousness toward complete rest. The lamp flames flicker lower now, their golden light gradually dimming, creating natural transition toward healing darkness, toward the interior illumination that serves creative renewal. Light fading to enable deeper sight, consciousness diving toward restorative depths. Your final awareness embraces the eternal purpose, the love that inspires all this effort, the transcendent beauty that justifies every sacrifice, every hour of patient labor, every moment of perfect attention. This understanding brings ultimate peace, complete satisfaction, total rest. The Taj Mahal waits patiently in the darkness, incomplete but already magnificent. Its future perfection approaching through present dedication, through the accumulated service of devoted souls, through the daily miracle of human skill serving divine beauty. Tomorrow will bring continued creation, continued service, continued participation in eternal love. Your breathing becomes the whisper of eternity itself, slow, deep, peaceful, carrying consciousness toward complete restoration, toward dreams where vision and reality merge, where human dedication meets divine inspiration, where temporal effort serves immortal purposes. The river flows on through sacred darkness, carrying starlight toward distant seas, connecting this moment to infinite cycles, this place to universal geography, this purpose to eternal meaning, individual rest serving cosmic restoration, personal sleep enabling continued creation. Your consciousness dissolves completely now, merging with the patient rhythms of universal creation, with the eternal love that inspires all transcendent beauty, with the divine patience that enables human skill to serve immortal purposes. Rest as worship, sleep as prayer, dreams as participation in endless creation. The night embraces everything in healing darkness, the rising tomb, the patient river, the sleeping gardens, the resting workers. All creation united in restorative peace, in the deep quiet that enables continued service, in the sacred rest that prepares for eternal beauty. Your eyelids close completely, weighted with infinite satisfaction, with the deep peace of meaningful service completed, of individual skill contributing to transcendent purpose, of human love serving divine beauty. This is perfect rest, sacred sleep, dreams that continue the work of creation itself. And in this perfect darkness, this healing silence, this restorative peace, you drift away completely, carried by the eternal rhythms that govern all creation, supported by the infinite love that inspires all transcendent beauty, embraced by the cosmic patience that enables human hands to create monuments to eternal devotion. The Taj Mahal stands patient in the star-washed night, growing slowly toward perfection, approaching its destiny as love's greatest monument. Its incomplete beauty suggesting infinite possibility, eternal promise. And in the gentle darkness, in the healing quiet, in the sacred rest that prepares for continued creation, you sleep deeply, peacefully, completely, surrounded by the patient love that builds beauty to last forever, carried by the eternal flow that connects all dedication, all service, all transcendent creation into the infinite peace, the perfect rest, the sacred sleep that prepares the soul for continued participation in divine beauty, eternal love, transcendent creation, forever and ever. Amen.